Here is Sir Chance-a-Lot, and Chance is having his second post-track ride on what is an extremely crazy windy day, and he has absolutely no hair, so I'm sure that he's feeling a little bit chilled. But he was very, very good about coming out and standing quietly at the mounting block, walking around for a little bit before we got to work. So very, very mature 3-year-old that he is. This was basically, I mean, we videoed the whole ride. It was very short and sweet. I just wanted to make sure that he was as I thought he was after the first post track ride. I always like to sit on them at least twice, just to make sure that all the things I said about them after I rode them the first time, I feel are also true after I ride them the second time. And then I feel like they're ready to go off to their new homes on that. And I can feel like I've done my due diligence and that I am correct about all the things that I said about the horse. And actually, he was fantastic. He was even better today than he was for his first ride, especially because the wind was blowing like 30 or 40 miles an hour. So, sort of similarly to last time, we're having a little conversation about the contact, and he doesn't have any aversion to the contact. He just simply doesn't understand yet about the contact. So, there's moments when he gets it quite nicely and gives me a couple of really good steps. There's a lot of moments like this when we're just sort of having a conversation about it, but it never gets stressful or anxious. And he's certainly, I feel like he's trending in the right direction. And it's just like right here, these are some good steps here. It's just going to take the time that it takes. And I just don't ever want to feel like you're forcing it on them and that they're going to not understand. I want him to understand. I want him to come to a place where he feels like being softer and connected feels better for him. So he would like to be in that place. I don't want him to feel like he's being jammed together in an uncomfortable way and not wanting to choose that on his own goodwill. So it's just going to take the time it takes. It's actually not going to take that long. I bet in a couple of weeks, somebody working with him pretty steadily, and he'll be looking pretty darn soft and round the majority of the time. So a couple of things are kind of different from the first ride to the second time. The first is just that obviously, like, he's such a good guy. He's like clearly happy to be working. He's not stressed out. This is his second ride now, so we're just doing a lot more. I know that sounds sort of silly, but like a lot more turning. The first ride was pretty generic, just pretty much staying on the track and looping the ring. But on this ride, we're getting more used to using our outside aids and things. So I'm going to do a lot more crossing of the diagonals and changing of directions just to sort of get him straighter, get him more on my aids and off of, if I'm using the fence at all to help, which sometimes you don't even realize how much you're using the fence line to help you with your outside aids, but certainly getting off the rail and making more shapes and figures sort of forces you to let go of that crutch if you're using it, whether you're aware of it or not. And he was very good about that. He's also a very mature 3-year-old in the sense that he really like hardly leans at the gate. There's no spooking, there's absolutely no silliness whatsoever. He's just really like he has a great work ethic. He's not hot, he's not sensitive, no naughtiness, but he does like to work, right? So you put your leg on, he's so happy to go forward and do whatever it is you're asking him to do. I also thought the other thing that was really great in this ride was just his canter transitions. And his last transition that he did to the right was really quite good. I was very happy with that. There's a couple good steps there. And then he's funny, right? So he gives me a couple good steps, and then he actually sort of um, takes it a little bit too far and wants to get a little bit too low. So when he does that, I tend to sort of just try and stand my ground and add some more leg to get him to bring his pole back up because I would always prefer that they be a little above the bit than a little bit below the bit. But of course, they just have no idea. So he's going to try everything. Sometimes he's going to get it just right, and then the pendulum will also swing to extremes in opposite directions. And so you just have to try and make sure that you're really rewarding the moments when they are, in fact, giving you the thing that you would like them to be giving. The other thing about this ride is I guess I do really trust him because It is a really windy day, and I also left my dogs out. So the hounds are out, they're sort of milling around the ring and the hay barn behind the ring, and so they're coming in and out of that structure. And so if I was at all worried about his level of spookiness or anxiety, especially on a windy day like this, I certainly would not have the dogs out, but he paid them absolutely no attention, which is sort of what I was banking on. There's some sneezing happening there. I know it's hard to tell with the video. You can't quite tell why they're putting their head down, but we had a couple of good sneezes. So today he was really quite good with his leads. I think I asked him to canter 4 times total, and he got 3 out of 4 of his leads, so really good. And his transitions were also just better in the sense of, we weren't doing some huge long trot for a long side in order to find ourselves in the canter. So there he picked up the left lead the first time, which was awesome. And then actually and hilariously on this cold, windy day on a 3-year-old, I couldn't quite keep him in the canter. And so he fell out of it. I asked him to canter again, picked up the right. So now we're going back to the left one more time. And here, actually, he's giving me some good moments in the canter. He's very even in terms of there's nothing that's easier or harder from the left to the right. He's very, very symmetric, which is great. I mean, I feel like 9 out of 10 of these guys definitely has one direction or one lead that's clearly easier than the other, but not for him. He is just super, super even-sided. And then what a fabulous transition to the right. That was the icing on the cake for the ride. And I thought he just has such a cute, happy expression on his face for the whole thing. I think when I was riding, I was thinking to myself, because it was so windy, it was like blowing you over, that I was thinking I should leave the volume on the ride clip for a little bit so you could hear the wind, but of course then I forgot. But oh well, you just have to take my word for it. Extreme wind. And he was just so good. He could not have cared less about anything that was going on. Very happy to do the job. So on the ground, he's a 3-year-old, so he's learning to stand nicely on cross ties. I found out today that he really likes getting a good face rub, so that's certainly something I'll be doing again with him. I can't get him to eat a treat yet, which I find annoying because I always like for my horses to have some treat incentives, so we'll be working on that as well.